let's do a call the meeting to order. And
we have a quorum. We're missing David Willman.
I'm on now, Charles.
Okay. I didn't see you in the picture. Good. Glad you're here.
Well, I'm on my phone in Austin, and I can't get the picture to work. So anyway.
okay, well, I don't have printed on here, so I just want to confirm that Jay Ward is on.
He is.
And heard David and Bob Schaefer. Are you on?
He is, but he's muted.
Okay. Okay. And then Charles, we've got you. And Pat, I know that. So, okay, we have a quorum and call the meeting to order.
I move adoption of the agenda.
I'll second.
I would like to change the agenda from item, I'm sorry, I have it for me here. That was the old agenda, I'm sorry. There it is. I'd like to change the order of 8A and 8B. We'll hear both. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Got it.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, let's have an approval of the minutes that they were submitted with our packages for July 21st and August 17th, which was our joint county commission meeting last week. If there's not any discussion or corrections for those agendas, I would like to entertain a motion for approval of both of those minutes.
So moved.
I move for approval.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Number 5 would be recognition of visitors for public comment. And please just join in if you would like to speak or say something.
I didn't see anybody signed up on the website, so we didn't have anybody that filed for participation.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll move on. There's no item 6. There's no reports. Number 7, no old business. So we'll move right to item 8, new business. And it'll be 8B. And it is the interest of El Campo Hospital in operating our Llano Hospital. David Willman, would you make that introduction? And I think you know that Nathan is online with some of his folks.
All right, be glad to. About 4 weeks ago, I got in contact with Nate through a mutual friend and a fellow that grew up in Llano, Cummings Smith. He'd read in the paper about the situation of the hospital, and he knew Nate through business and asked if I was still on the board, and if so, would I be interested in talking to him? And I was, and out of that came a discussion. Nate is the CEO of Midcoast Health System. They operate a hospital at El Campo and Palacios, and they showed an interest in talking to us about the possibility of operating our hospital. And so that's where we've developed from that in discussions with Nate. And so, Nate, I just would like to introduce you to the group and would like for you to kind of talk about what you had in mind, and I think go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on today. And again, Nathan Tudor at CEO at Midcoast Health System. We're based out of El Campo, Texas. We have one acute PPS hospital, acute care PPS hospital. We have a critical access hospital in Palacios, Texas, which is down on the coast. We have about 15 rural health clinics that we operate. We operate in a rural area. We're very familiar with rural hospitals. in rural markets. We think that we've done a fairly good job of expanding and growing our business by providing great care in communities, rural communities, because there's something that we're passionate about. There's something that we really understand. We feel like that that Llano was a market in a community that we were really, really interested in, just because of know some people there, and we want to see a rural hospital thrive and grow and be a vital part of the community. And we think that with what that you have in Llano can be a really good fit for us, and it's just a good match. So we're excited about partnering with the folks in Llano and about how we can cooperate and work together to make it a successful, viable entity to support the community there.
Nathan, Bob Wallace, could you give us your roughly history this last 2 years? You've been very successful in your efforts, and also could you speak to the importance of the critical access designation? We've been learning about it and trying to educate the community what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past couple of years, the El Campo Memorial Hospital has grown and evolved into Midcoast Health System, where we pair PPS hospitals with critical access hospitals. And a hospital in Llano needs to be a critical access hospital for it to remain viable and to be part of that community. A PPS hospital, based upon some of the things that we've seen, hospitals in communities that size really need to be a critical access to be able to grow and thrive. We had a very similar situation. We saw a very similar situation in Palacios, which is the community not far from us. And they are a critical access hospital. And now after partnering with them, it's been both really good for the hospital in El Campo and the hospital in Palacios. And both hospitals are kind of thriving right now. And we think we can produce the same result in Llano. The critical access designation is an absolute priority and a must for us to come in and operate that facility. We cannot come in and operate the facility in Llano unless it receives the critical access hospital designation, and that has to occur. That has to occur before the end of the year takes place.
Well, that would be simultaneous with the expiration of Baylor Scott's lease, and so that would work out if it's important. I think we're going to talk about this a little bit in a moment with the next agenda item, but basically it seems that Baylor Scott has effort is they're moving forward, and they've been proactive and trying to assist in that effort. They have to do the application for critical access supported by us, and they seem to be willing to enter into that kind of agreement with your hospital and the county. That's just happening today. So this next week is very important to get that.
Yeah, I would say the two mission critical things. Number one, they have to have the critical access designation filed before September the 1st. And then going along with that, they have to go through a survey. After the intermediary, which is Novitas, grants the critical access designation, saying that they are in favor of it, there has to be a survey that occurs and takes place. Baylor Scott and White will have to do that because it's actually under will be under their provider number. So both of those things have to occur, and the first step is to get the application filed before September the 1st. We're on a very, very tight time frame.
Wonderful. I appreciate your time and your effort. I know you have a time crunch. Does anybody on the board have any questions of Nathan?
Nathan, this is Bob Schaefer. Could you share with us what sort of electronic health records you operate in El Campo and Palacios and would operate in Llano? And would it be compatible with Baylor Scott and White's Epic software?
I don't know what you mean by compatible. If you're talking about will the two systems talk to each other, most all electronic health records will talk to each other. Obviously, Baylor Scott and White would have to give us permission to be able to do that. And quite frankly, I am not 100% sure which electronic health record that we will roll out there. We've got to sit down and take a look at the facility and what is going to stay and go, et cetera, before we make a final determination on where we're going to go there.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Nathan?
to expand upon that, may I ask, is it feasible to continue in Epic? Would that be one of the things one of the systems you would be looking at?
Anything is feasible. I mean, but I don't think that Epic right now is going to be the electronic health record system that we would choose to partner with. But I would never say no until I have a conversation with them.
Okay, thanks.
We'll evaluate all our options.
Nathan, we very much appreciate your time, and I know you've got to jump off for your board meeting.
Let me add one more thing. I'm impressed with this organization. They've got a super strong can-do attitude. They have a bias for action. They understand this process very well. I think it's a good match for Baylor Scott and White, for the county, the hospital authority. I'm really excited about pursuing this to its logical conclusion. That's all. I agree.
We are.
Also, the board, we met some of the board members, and that's a high quality group of people too. Everything's lining up, all the stars are lining up. We appreciate your interest.
Thank you guys for considering us.
Thank you. Have a fabulous day. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I can't see on my screen. Tim, are you online today? Tim Oles, okay.
I am, sir.
Pardon you, you're here?
Yep.
Okay, great, Tim. Our next item is 8A, discussion of Baylor Scott White support for this application of critical access hospital designation. We've just kind of got a little bit of briefing of that from Nathan, but Tim, do you have any comments, questions, or things you'd like to offer addressing that item?
We are still working through that process with the county and with Midcoast, getting our letter of intent signed on that. I think we all have terms that are in front of us, and the county or Midcoast will draft up the final document for us. We put in their hands today sort of a transition operations, spelling out the things that need to happen and sort of some target dates for each one of those. Baylor Scott and White's been through a few of these transitions over time, and typically they've taken from 12 to 13 months to get done, and we need to get it done in 4. So, and we have to add critical access on top of that, which wasn't a part of any of those. So there's a lot to be accomplished in a very short period of time. We have our team internally aligned to do that and ready to get that application in once we have the letter of intent in front of us and signed off on. And I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Okay. Well, the community is very appreciative of yours and Baylor Scott's interest and assistance in this. We
Hey.
appreciate the effort.
This is David Herster. Tim, do you have any other competing transitions that will be taking your team's time, at this away from us at this time, or is this pretty much the only one on the plate right now?
Well, we don't have any other acquisition issues going on right now that I'm aware of. Of course, there may be things going on behind the scenes. I think the biggest issues that we're wrestling with, there's a couple of hospitals in the north that are getting launched on Epic, and we're of course all wrestling with COVID and the various funding mechanisms and accounting and reporting, and that's taken a fair amount of people's time. But the project manager is dedicated. We got some folks from our corporate team. We've got legal counsel dedicated to it, and local people as well, ready to work with it. So no, I don't think there'll be anything here that will do that. Probably the one unknown thing for me will likely be information technology, because that's a big transition in that particular one, and it's quite an infrastructure corporately on that. But they're well aware of the timing and know the system's goal to help Plano be as successful as possible. So I think we'll get the resources that we need. But there's nothing, as I look at it right now, Dr. Erster, I got to learn to give the short answer. There's nothing as I look into my crystal ball that says we won't have what we need to move forward on the things that need to get done.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions of Tim?
I just think one thing that, just has our team corporately most nervous is making sure that all the due diligence is done appropriately through this process. And the last one they did was with the Carrollton Hospital, which interestingly was owned by the hospital district, run by Baylor Scott and White, and was transitioning to another entity that was taking it over. That one took 11 months to get done, because there's just an awful lot to do in this healthcare world once you get to the due diligence phase, making sure that all of the regulatory hoops are gone through, all the financial obligations are understood, all the insurance coverages. And we have, like most industries, you got a lot of things to cover. We've got 38 regulatory agencies on our list of things that people that need to be notified as a part of this process or engaged as a part of it. So it is, and our plan when they closed the Garland hospital, I think it was the Garland, was another hospital that went through closure 3. We've gone through that and narrowed that down. There's 370 items on our plan. So there's a lot of things that need to get done between now and 12/31/2020 to move through this. Even though the hospital's not as big, there's just a lot of things, just because it is a hospital, cause a lot of switches to flip, and we've got to work through each one of them, whether it's a 500-bed hospital or a 10-bed hospital. So, but we're prepared to do it. I just, from the Llano County Hospital Authority's perspective and from the Llano County Commissioner's perspective, I'm sure your council will be giving you those lists of due diligence items and things that you all need to take a look at, and it will be a lot to make sure that it's done right.
Thank you.
Sounds daunting, but possible.
We'll be sprinting.
Okay. If there's no other discussion on this point, then we'll move on to item C, which is the approval of committee report to county commissioners for recommendations of the EMS provider. Each of the members, well, the committee was Bob Schaefer, Pat McDowell, and myself, and that has been working on this for a few months. And we have submitted that complete report to all of the board members with the agenda last week. Has everybody received it, had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If there's no questions, or we can hold questions after, I'm going to read a brief synopsis of that recommendation. The full report is in file and can be requested. The committee personally interviewed with 4 providers, including Baylor Scott, Marble Falls EMS, AMR Global Medical Response, which is also ARIVAC, and Hamilton County Hospital District. They were all qualified, and each offers unique pros and cons and have great reputations in the industry. One is a nonprofit, another is a national-based multi-million size dollar firm, and of course, Baylor Scott, whom we all know and appreciate. Hamilton County has a very unique status as the only critical access designated EMS provider in the state. As such, they have a substantial income advantage and can provide the very best new equipment that is sized for rural areas and require all crews to be of the highest rating paramedics. Let me see. So we jump to a recommendation to the county that they attempt to negotiate with the Hamilton County Hospital EMS. Being a county-owned organization, it can the county has the option of doing an interlocal agreement, sitting down, negotiating the terms, and then if mutually agreeable, enter into it right away. It takes approximately 4 months from the time that there is an agreement to order equipment, hire personnel, confirm the locations, so on and so forth. So time is of the essence for sure. If they were not able to negotiate with Hamilton, they would have to, including Baylor Scott and White, they would have to put this out to a public bid, set up documents, which would add another 75 to 90 days in order to receive the bids, and then another 60 days to negotiate. So that's one of the reasons for our recommendation. The highlights of it is that the we encourage a base quote with 3 units, which is what we have now, and an option for the 4th unit anytime in the first year with a 4-month notice. The EMS stations and locations are such and possibly changing that we recommend the maximum flexibility and transparency by having the county provide mutually acceptable locations or as otherwise agreed in the negotiation. Item number 3, employees of Hamilton EMS in Llano County. Hamilton should be encouraged to hire present EMS staff of Baylor Scott and White by a goal of at least 30% of their requirements, subject to meeting Hamilton's published employee standards. Number 4, the Mobile Integrated Health Program. This has been mentioned. It's not currently active. It's been mentioned by Baylor Scott White. It is a very interesting program that is, again, not under current deal, in that wherein the EMS systems provider goes by weekly or routinely for a number of events after a patient is released to check on them and so on and so forth. This has a cost to both the hospital, the EMS provider, and the county. So we don't know how to do it. We recommend that this program be discussed while negotiating the services and possibly be a requirement in the future if implemented by the county. We recommend that EMS provider routinely station a unit at all school football events subject to other emergencies. Next one is we recommend that the contract for services be a minimum of 5 years at an agreed base rate system subject to agreed cancellation or amendment provisions. And finally, we recommend that all equipment at the beginning of the new term either be new or less than 12 months old with fewer than 50,000 miles, and that equipment rotation be a part of the agreement. This concludes our recommendations. So having said that, are there any questions from anybody before I entertain a motion to accept this and forward this to the county commissioners for our recommendation from the full committee, from the full board.
I move that we accept the recommendations as described and that we forward it to the Commissioners Court.
I'd like to second it.
I have a second from Bob Schaefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. That we will forward that on to the county. We have no items going into executive session or other business. So I don't know that we're prepared to suggest a topic for the next item. But I think we'll just do that by public notice and stay loose and flexible with all that's going on with the county, Baylor Scott, and the possibility of the takeover of the Llano Hospital. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved, David.
Second? Okay. All in favor, say aye. And
Aye.
Aye.
I have the meeting closing at 2:28, I believe.
328.
3:28. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it. Well, thank you all, gentlemen, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.